So the class is being recorded currently. But before I proceed, I just want to ask for one last time. Can you guys hear me? Is it clear enough?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, so I'm going to share my
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, so I'm also going to share my screen. You also need to let me know that you can see my screen after I share it now. So I'm going to share my screen now. So can you also see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So you can see my screen and it's audible to you, and the recording has also started. So let's also start the class. So what we are doing today is EMACS command, and without much ado, the first thing you need to know is from our previous communication, I've been able to make you understand that we can install our Ubuntu or the Linux operating system in 3 ways. So the first one was through WXL. So those of you who watched the video, WXL is when you install it through command prompts or Windows PowerShell. So if you have done that already, I would also assume that you've been able to install EMACS through this system. If you've not, no problem, we will discuss about it in the group and I'll show you how to do that. So if you installed through WXL, the next thing you need to do is open your command prompt, right? Open your command prompt and just type bash. So bash takes you into the Linux system on your computer. As you can see on my screen, I'll be typing bash will take me in there. I don't know, it's taking a bit of time. So you see I'm in there now. The next thing I will do is to open EMACS, but I'm not going to use this command prompt for this class. I just want you to know, in case you are going to be using WSL and command prompts, this is how to open EMACS on your own system. Then for those that did theirs through VirtualBox, so you installed Ubuntu through VirtualBox, you would have something like this, and you would have a terminal like this. So if you type EMACS, it's also going to open the editor for you. So this is EMACS when you have VirtualBox and
Sorry for interrupting. Your screen seems blurred. I don't know if it's same for everybody.
Yeah, it's something for everybody.
It's
blood.
It's blood.
Yes.
Okay. I think it's this guy. Is it blood now?
Yes.
Still blood. That's interesting. Okay. Okay, wait. The third one, let me just open Sigwin, because that's the one I would be using. So let me confirm with this. How about this? Can you see this properly?
Yes, yes.
You can see this. This is clear.
Yes.
I thought as much. So this is the third one. This is Sigwin. So this is the one I would be using. If you have Sigwin installed, if you use Sigwin to install Linux, then you would have this terminal when you open your Sigwin. This is what it opens on your screen. So without wasting much time, let's get to it. So I'll be using the Sigwin editor. So one last thing, is the test big enough for you? Can you see the test? Can you see the test? Is it big enough?
Yes, I can see.
Okay. So let me just increase it a little, just in case some people don't get to see it. 24. Alright, that's big enough. So now that we are in Sigwin, the next thing I will do now is, let's see my working directory, LX. So actually, to see the files inside of it, so I'm going to create a folder. That will be where we'll be doing this work. Let me just call that EMACS folder. So let me cd into it. I hope you can do this, and if you can't, it's just basic command line, and I'm going to also put a link to a video that would help you understand using the command line. So I want to go into this folder. something simple, mkdir emacs, okay, cd. Okay, good. So let me clear the screen. Some guys are still joining late. So for me to open EMACS here, that's the command. So you type EMACS on your terminal, then you press enter. So it looks different from the ones you're seeing previously, but it's not a problem. It still does the same thing. So when you type EMACS, it brings you to a screen like this. It brings you to a screen like this, and the first thing you want to do when you have EMACS on your system is you want to create a new file. So please just look at my mouse. Just look at my mouse. Always look at this place, the bottom of the screen. It's called your buffer. So any command I type is always going to be highlighted here. I'm going to say the commands so when you hear the commands, just look at this place. That's where you see the commands. Then something else you need to know before we proceed is that in EMACS, when you see C, when you see anything letter C, it means control. So if you see C like this, C dash, it means control. If you see M dash, it means alternate or escape. C is control, M is alternate or escape. So we'll be working with these ones first, opening and closing files. As you can see, we have series of commands. So anything I do would be based on this command till we move to the next one. So take note of this. We'll be working with opening and closing commands now. Now, to open a file, the command is, please look at the bottom of this place, the corner. The command is Control X. So you press Control down, you press X, then you press Control F. So you press it twice, Control X, you remove your hand, then you press Control and F again, you remove your hand. So if you see what EMACS is telling me now, it said find file, and there's a cursor that is telling me now to impute the name of the file. I'm going to call this file emacs.txt. That is a test file. Now the file is open for us. Let me let this person in. Now the file is open. This is how to create file in EMACS. Another way is you may want to create the file directly from your terminal. So let's go back to the terminal and do that. So instead of typing only EMACS, you would do something like EMACS, then the name of the file you want to create, let's call this learn.txt, then enter. See, it has created the file. Look at, this is the name of the file. So we'll proceed with that. Now, the next thing you need to do is, when you have your file created, obviously you want to type some tests. So let's type some tests. This is an EMACS class. Then, after doing all your typing, obviously you want to save. For you to save, the command to save is Control X and Control S. That is Control X for Xmas and Control X for save. So just look at the bottom corner, the bottom left corner of my screen. You will see the command. I want to save this file now, so I'm going to do the command Control X. Can you see Control X? Then the next one is Control S. Now it's saying wrote. When it says wrote, it means the file has been saved. Now we can proceed. Another way is, you may have a lot of files opened and you've been typing on them, doing so many things. You may want to save all the files together. And how do you do that? You use Control X and S, and that says save file. Please, if it's sounding like gibberish to you now, no problem. When I send the test file, you would understand and you will see it as it is. So what I've done now is, I've used this first command to open the file cxcf, that is Control X and Control F. Then I've used Control X and Control S to save the file. And if I was working with so many files, I would use Ctrl X and letter X to save. Now, what if we want to make a copy of this file? So we like this file a lot. Remember, this is len.txt. And we want to save a copy instead of creating a new file. All you need to do is Ctrl X. Oh, sorry, I still need to save this here. Good. So to save the file, to save a copy of this file, like you do in Microsoft Word, when you say save as, you say Ctrl X and Ctrl W. So now EMACS is telling me to give a new name to the file I want to save as. So I'll call this len2.txt. And as you can see, the file has been changed to len2.txt. So what have I done? I just used this command, save as, to create a copy of our previous file. So right now, I'm working on the other file instead of the initial one we created. Now, before we proceed again, you would notice at the bottom of the screen, sometimes you can press so many wrong commands. That is Ctrl S, Escape, L. As you can see, it's saying undefined. But now you can't press in new command. So to clear this buffer, sorry guys, to clear the buffer, you use Ctrl G. Then it shows you quit. So it means if you've pressed a lot of command, or you've done things that you don't understand what you've been doing, you know, look at my buffer, I'm pressing so many escape, I don't even know what is happening anymore. To clear out, just use Ctrl G to quit. And that is what we have here. Ctrl G to clear. Ctrl G when you are lost. You see, I use the question mark. Are you lost? You use Ctrl G. Now, to exit and quit from EMACS, if you notice, everything about opening and closing starts with Ctrl X. Take note, Ctrl X. So, to exit out of EMACS, we use Ctrl X and Ctrl C. So let's try that. So let's assume we are done with this file. And remember how to save. You do your Ctrl X and Ctrl S. So the file has been changed. No changes need to save. Now let's exit out of EMACS. Ctrl X and Ctrl C. As you can see, we are out of EMACS. So I use this command right now to exit out of EMACS. Ctrl X and Ctrl C. So anytime you are done with your file, you use Ctrl X and Ctrl C to exit out of EMACS back to your terminal. So remember, we created some files. So let's see how many files we have inside the EMACS folder now. So we have len test and len2 tests. So let's go back and start working with len2 tests. And how do we open this particular file? You say EMACS len.txt. If this file does not exist, EMACS is going to create it as a new file. But since it exists already, EMACS is going to open this file. So let's see that. And now you can see we were typing all this before when we saved, and EMACS has opened the file for us. The next thing, or the next section for us, is moving about or navigation. I just want you to know that it's going to be a pretty quick class because EMACS commands are pretty much easy to understand, and I just hope that we are able to get all the points across. So now we'll be using navigation, so moving about the EMACS command.
Sorry, please, what about the Ctrl G?
Okay, let me go back to it. So like I said, Ctrl G, look at this bottom, look at my cursor. Can you see my cursor? So look at this place, it's called the buffer where the cursor is. Imagine you've been doing a lot of things. So I've been pressing commands, but I can't tell what I'm pressing, or I don't understand what I've been doing. See, I have a lot of commands there, but they don't do anything. So to clear this buffer, or to tell EMACS to clear everything in the memory from your previous command, you use Ctrl G. So Ctrl G, don't worry, you can press it once or twice, at most twice, then it works. So let me do it again. Ctrl G, you use Ctrl G to clear out the commands in the buffer, or to clear out the commands in EMACS memory. So EMACS have stored these commands, but these commands don't do anything, and you cannot delete. I can't delete this command. So the only way to delete them or to remove them from EMACS memory is to use Ctrl G. I hope that is clear now.
Yes.
So let's proceed. Now navigation. So if you are working with a test document, obviously you want to be able to move around. If you look at my cursor, this is my mouse, and this is the cursor. See, I can't move the cursor to the front. The cursor is still at the beginning. So can you see that you can't actually use mouse with this EMACS application, the one I'm using right now on Sigwin. So to be able to navigate, you use your keyboard, and that is the idea of all these IDEs, EMACS and Vim. It is because they don't want you to use mouse anymore. They want you to do everything with keyboard. All right. So right now we have to learn how to navigate and move around our files. But to do this, I need to put a lot of tests, because if I use the few ones I have on my screen, we may not be able to understand how all these things are working. So let me copy some series of tests that I have already. So this is a lot of tests. It's called lorem ipsum. So let me drop it into EMACS. So you can paste, but there's a better way to do it, but because there's a lot of files, so I just want to do this. Now, I have so many tests inside of the EMACS editor. So let me save so that I don't lose this. Remember, Ctrl X and Ctrl S to save your file. Now let's go back. Navigation. How do we navigate around this EMACS test editor? Now we have a lot of tests. The first thing you should note is that you can navigate around EMACS using your navigation button. So if you're on your keyboard, you use up, down. I'm trying to, sorry guys, okay, it should be at the top. Okay, so this is my cursor. Sorry, let me let the person in. So please take note, I will always point you to my cursor. It looks very tiny, and I'm sorry about that, but that's how the application brought it. So look at this Amet. You can see my cursor there now. All right. Now look at what will happen. So I'm going to press the down arrow key. I'm using the down arrow key to come down, and you can use the up arrow key on your keyboard. I'm doing this with my keyboard now. Then when you want to go to the left, pretty much straightforward. So you can see that the cursor is moving with my arrow keys. So to navigate, you use arrow keys initially. But then when you have a lot of file like I have now, I mean, it's going to be difficult for you to start pressing down, 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 up, up, right, right, you know, left, left, left. It doesn't make much sense to me. I don't know about you. So the next thing we need to know is that you can jump. You can jump within this your file. So the first command, or the two commands I want us to take note of, is to go to the top of your file. To go to the top of your file, you would use, so I told you before that anywhere you see M means alternate or escape. That means instead of pressing Control down, you're going to press the alternate button down, or you can use the, what's it called, the escape button. So if you're going to use escape, you don't need to press it. You just say escape, you remove your hand. But if you're going to use M, it means alternate. You have to press it down the way you are pressing Control. So if I'm going to go to the top of my file, I'm going to press alternate down. I'm going to press it down, then I'm going to press the lesser down symbol. That is it here. So alternate lesser down to go to the top of the file, and alternate M, alternate greater down to go to the bottom of the file. So let's see that in action. Now let me show you where my cursor is now. I'm sorry it's tiny. So this is the cursor right now. Just follow the way I'm trying to highlight. That is the cursor. So I believe your eyes is on the cursor now. Now I'm going to do alternate lesser than, and let's see where it takes us to. Alternate. Can you see the cursor? It has gone to the top. See, it has gone to this, where this lorem ipsum is. If I do alternate greater than, it's going to go to the bottom. Just watch around here. Alternate greater than. Can you see the cursor has gone to the bottom? So I'm going to do it repeatedly so that you can follow. So I will go to the top and I will come to the bottom. Just Put your eyes at the cursor. It's blinking here right now because it's at the bottom. Now I want to go back to the top. Alternate greater than. Can you see it? Alternate less than at the bottom. Alternate less than at the top. Alternate greater than will take you to the bottom. Let's do it again. We are at the bottom now. Alternate less than takes you to the top of the file. Instead of scrolling, right, you use your alternate greater than to go to the sorry, let me use Ctrl G. I just did a very wrong command. Alternate greater than to go to the bottom, alternate less than to go to the top, and that is that on this command. So if you don't want to use alternate, you can use escape, but you don't have to press it down. So you can, I will leave that for you, so you try that when you are doing your practice. So instead of alternate, you can use escape, but for escape you don't press it down, just say escape, remove your hand, V. Now the next command is, let's assume that we are working on a line. So you can use Ctrl A or Ctrl E or the home button. Let's do it again. Beginning of a line. To go to the beginning of a line, you use Ctrl A or your home button. So if your keyboard has a home button, just look for it. It takes you to the beginning of a line, or you use Ctrl A. To go to the end of a line, you use Ctrl E or end. So instead of talking about it, let's try it out. Now this is a line. I'm going to use this. I highlighted it, so I'm going to remove the highlights. Now let me bring the cursor down. Please follow the cursor. I'm going to bring it to the middle. So now the cursor is inside this placerat. Look at the cursor. We want to go to the beginning of this line. And how do we do that? So we want to move this cursor to the beginning, that is in front of Donek. You say you use Ctrl A. So look at the buffer, or you look at the cursor. You can look at the buffer here, or you look at the cursor to see the command. Ctrl A. Can you see where the cursor has moved to? Ctrl A. It has gone to the beginning of the line. And if I do Ctrl E, it takes me to the end of the line. Now you'll be wondering, why is this line so long? It's because of the way I copied it. So let me create a simple line at the bottom. So this is a simple line, a line of gibberish, total nonsense. So I've created two lines of rubbish, okay, so that you can see it easily. Now let me move. I'm going to use the bottom line. Now I'm in the middle of this line. So to go to the beginning of this line, which is Y, I'm going to use Ctrl A. Can you see the cursor is at the beginning now? Then to go to the end of that line, I'm going to use Ctrl E. You see our cursor is at the beginning. I'm going to use Ctrl E to go to the end, that is where A is, after A. So Ctrl E takes you to the end of the line. Ctrl A takes you to the beginning of the line. Ctrl E takes you to the end of the line. Again, Ctrl A takes you to the beginning of your line, and Ctrl E takes you to the end of the line. Now the next point on navigation. This part is pretty not very important, but it's just good for you to know these commands. So these commands, they do the same thing as your navigation button. Apparently I should have just placed them together, but I'm going to do that in the edited file I will send to you, the cheat sheet. But at least for learning purpose, let's try it. So we have Ctrl F, Ctrl B, Ctrl N, and Ctrl P. Ctrl F moves you one character forward. Ctrl B moves you one character backward. Ctrl N brings you down. Ctrl P takes you up. So let's do it. CF, CB, CN, CP. So let me use. So take note of my cursor. My cursor is here right now. I've moved it up with the navigation button. My cursor is here right now. I moved it here with the navigation button. Now, instead of using the navigation button that is up, down, right, or left, sorry, right, you can also use Ctrl F. So I'm pressing Ctrl F now, Ctrl F, and you can see what is happening. It is moving my cursor, doing the same thing as the right navigation button. I can also go backward by using Ctrl B, Ctrl B, Ctrl B, Ctrl B, Ctrl B, Ctrl B to move backward or left towards the left hand side. I can also use Ctrl N to go down. Ctrl N, just look at my cursor, it's going down. I'm doing that with Ctrl N, Ctrl N. Now I'm at the bottom. For me to move up, I will use Ctrl P, Ctrl P, Ctrl P, Ctrl P, Ctrl P, Ctrl P. But as you can see, it's almost irrelevant if you can do it with your navigation button. But assuming your navigation buttons are bad, then you might be left with using Ctrl F, Ctrl B, Ctrl N, and Ctrl P to navigate one character forward, backward, upward, or downward. So that is that on this, guys. Now, forward by screen. When you say forward by screen, it is very good, or you use this when you have a lot of text on your screen, like what we have here. We have a lot of text currently on this document that I have to scroll. So instead of me scrolling or jumping, I can use forward by screen, Ctrl V, to move to the next screen. So just look at the screen and let's see the changes that will happen. So Ctrl V, can you see that the screen is changing? So it's moving you page by page. That is what it's doing now. Instead of you using navigation button, you can use Ctrl V to go page by page depending on how big your computer screen is. So let me do Ctrl V again, and you can see I'm at the bottom right now. If I use Ctrl V, I can proceed. It says end of buffer because that is the end of the page. So how do we go up? How do we go backward by screen, like going upward? You know, we've used Ctrl V to come down to the end of the screen. We can use Escape V to go upward. Remember I told you Escape and M are actually the same thing. M just means alternate, or you use Escape. So I'm going to use Escape for this, and I would leave you to use alternate when you are learning on your own. So I'm going to use Escape V since we've not used Escape since we started. So Escape V is going to move my screen upward, and Ctrl V is going to move my screen downward. So let's try it. I'm using Escape V now. Please take note. Escape V. Escape V. Sorry. Escape V. Can you see the screen has moved upward? I'm going to do it again. Escape V. The screen has moved upward. Escape V. And we are at the top of the file, and it's telling you now that you are at the beginning of the buffer. So let's try it again. Let's go downward, and remember I said it was Ctrl V, Ctrl V, and we can't go again because remember we are now at the end of the screen, end of buffer. Now let's go upward, and that is Escape V. Escape, remove your hand, V. Escape, remove your hand, V. Escape, remove your hand, V. But apparently we are now at the top of the screen because it says beginning of buffer. So when do you use this? If you don't want to start navigating by doing up a lot of times, or you don't want to be doing beginning of line or bottom of file, you can use your forward by screen and backward by screen. The next one is forward by one word and backward by one word. So let's assume that we've been coding. So this is my cursor right here. My cursor is in front of Donek here, so I will highlight it so you can see my cursor. So let's assume you've been coding, but you want to make changes by just you have some words in front that are typed wrongly. How do you move by words? You use Escape F to go forward by word, or Escape B. So let's try it. Look at the bottom of the buffer here and see that I have to press Escape, then B or F to move backward or forward. So to go forward, Escape F. Our cursor is here in front of Donek. So let's do it. Escape F. Can you see? It has moved in front of Donek. Let me do it again. Escape F. But it's highlighting it for you because it is thinking you want to make an edit to it. So Escape F to go forward, escape F, escape F. Can you see it? Escape F. I'm moving forward by word. I'm going to go in front of sit. Sit. Let me go back again. Let me redo this. Please take note of my cursor. All right, this is my cursor here right now. I want to move forward by one word. This is the cursor. So let's do it. Escape F. Can you see? Forward by one word. Escape F in front of topis. Escape F in front of I. Escape F in front of errats. Escape F in front of potter. Escape F in front of at. Now to go backward by word, you also do the same thing, but this time is escape B. Escape B. Can you see it? Escape B. Escape B. Escape B. Escape B and escape B. Back at where we started from. So when you want to move forward by words, you use escape F to go forward, or you use escape B to move backward. And this is what we were just practicing. Forward by one word, backward by one word. Now that we've been able to navigate around our documents, this brings us to the most important part, editing. No matter what you do with your test documents, it is apparent that you would want to make edits, right? So this is our cursor here right now. Let me bring it down to the middle of the screen. So the cursor is right here in seats. You can see it blinking. Now the first command we need to take note of is delete. To delete, you have three commands, which I think is generous enough. The first one is backspace, which I know you are used to. The next one is delete, which I also know you are used to. And the new one there is Control D, which I know you may not have come across before, just like me the first time I saw it. But we are going to do it all now. Now, let's use the first one, backspace, which we do what we all know it does, backspace. So let's see what backspace does. So I'm using backspace now. Take note of the cursor, it's right here. So I'm using backspace button on my keyboard. Backspace. See, it's deleting the characters one by one. So I'm deleting with backspace now. The next one there is delete. So you use backspace to delete to the left. You use delete button itself to delete to the right. So I'm using the delete button now to delete to the right. But what about our new command, Control D? What does Control D does? Control D deletes on where the cursor is. It deletes character on where the cursor is. Though it may behave like it is deleting to the right, but it is actually deleting on where the cursor is. So if your cursor is here, your cursor is actually on N. So let's try it, Control D. Can you see? Control D. So anywhere you see this cursor, assume this cursor is like this, it's highlighting what is in front of it. So if I do Control D, it will delete what is on it currently. So backspace to delete to the left, delete itself to delete to the right, and Control D to delete on the cursor. This is Control D in action. Control D in action. Now, the next editing commands that we need to learn is Control XU, which is used to undo. Now we've been making so many deletes. We've been deleting so many things. How about in your code, you've made a lot of deletion, or you made a mistake, you pressed the delete button when you're not supposed to. All you need to do is Control X, as in X for Xmas and U. So look at the bottom of the buffer and let's do it. Let's return some of the characters we deleted. Control X and U. Can you see what is happening? Just watch the cursor now. We are here right now. Let's see what happens when we undo. Also take note of the buffer. It tells you undo. So look at the cursor and let's try it again. Control X, U. Can you see? I will do it again. Control X, U. Control X, U. Undo. Control X, U. Control X, U. Please don't get mad that I'm trying to repeat the commands. I'm saying it out so many times. It is because I want you to know what I'm doing or what command I'm using currently. So let's undo for 3 more times. Control X, U. Control X, U. And our last undo, Control X, U. So that is how to undo when you've made a wrong deletion. The next command on editing is what is known as mark region. So you may have been seeing me using my mouse to make highlights like this, but it does nothing. These highlights I've been doing, EMACS is not seeing it. Like, I'm highlighting it for you, but EMACS is not taking note that I'm making these highlights. For you to make EMACS know that you are making highlights, what you need to do is you use Control space, and we will see it in action right now. So we use Control space. Let's move to the beginning of the sentence, of the line. Let's go to the front of Donek, and we do that with Control A. So we are there right now. For me to start highlighting, maybe because I want to copy or I want to cut, so for me to highlight this, I will use Control space, and as you can see what it's saying at the bottom here, it says mark set. So when it says mark set, the next thing is you can start highlighting. Let me redo it. So let me go up. Sorry. Good. Let me do it again. So you use Control space to mark where you want to start highlighting from. So if your cursor is here, it means when you press Control space, you can start highlighting from here. So I will press Control space, and now it says mark set. So the mark has been set here. For me to start highlighting, you can now start using navigation button. So I will use down, down, down. As you can see, it now has a blue background or a purple background, depending on how you want to name the color. Down, down, down. Now I've been able to highlight this sentence. But when you highlight sentence, I believe it is because you want to do something with it. So having highlighted the sentence, we can now copy. So we can copy that particular sentence by using alternate W. Please, M is alternate, okay? M is alternate. So you press alternate down or W, or you use escape W. So now that we've highlighted all this, let's copy it with alternate W. So alternate W, and now it has been copied because now we can't see the highlights anymore. So let's move down and let's paste what we've copied. For you to paste, you use what we call yank. Yank or paste is Control Y. So for us to paste what we've copied, you say Control Y. Can you see? We copied this text, Donek Blandit. We copied it from up here, Donek Blandit, and we are pasting it down here. So let me paste it again, Control Y. Okay, so now I've been able to copy it and I've been able to paste it twice. But sometimes you don't want to copy, you actually want to cut. That is, you want to remove and move it somewhere. So how do we do that? Let's use this gibberish that we typed here. Let's remove it from the middle of this file and move it to the bottom again. So let's bring our cursor up here. So I will start at H. I want to copy everything, all this sentence, this gibberish. I want to bring it to the bottom of after this second Donek Blandit. So remember, for you to start that, you have to mark region. So how do you mark your region? Remember, I told you to mark your region, you use Control space to highlight or mark region. So you put your cursor at where you want to start cutting from, then you say Control space, okay? Then when you've done that, you see your buffer will tell you mark set. The mark has been set. Now you can use your arrow button to highlight as much as you want. So I'll use down, down, and down because I want to cut everything. I want to cut this three line. And how do you cut? So instead of alternate W, you use Control W to cut. So let's cut this file. Control W. Can you see that the file has been removed? And now we can come to the bottom of this file here and paste it. So how do we paste again? Remember, we use Control Y. Can you see? We cut this text from here and now we've pasted it at the bottom. And it's still in memory, so we can paste it again for you to confirm. Control Y. You can yank it or paste it, and I will do that again, Control Y. So pretty much straightforward. We use mark region, control space to mark region. Then you use your arrow button to highlight where you want to copy or cut. Then you use alternate W to copy, or you use Control W to cut. Then you use Control Y to paste wherever you want. Now, still on editing, what if you just want to cut the next word? So let's say we are right here. So let me type something. This is an EMACS training about its commands. So let's assume that you want to copy or you want to cut a text in front. You use Escape D to do that, or alternate D. So let's assume we want to copy commands or we want to cut commands. You use alternate D to copy what is in front of another word. Let me undo. Control X U. To cut or to remove a word in front of your cursor or in front of another word. See where my cursor is. So I want to remove command. Command is in front, or to delete it actually, because the funny thing with EMACS is when you delete and when you cut is the same thing. Anything you delete, you can paste it. So we use Control D. Oh, sorry, not Control D. Alternate D to move the word. And when you use alternate D, you can use your Control Y to paste it. Can you see? So in EMACS, if you delete, it's the same thing as when you paste. Also, you can do it backwards. And how do you do it backwards? You use the command. You use the command alternate backspace. So naturally, backspace is supposed to delete one word, right? One character. But when you use alternate, it removes an entire word. So EMACS should be gone, hand should be gone, this should be gone, and this should be gone. Can you see? So let me bring them back. Sorry. Sorry about that. So let me bring them back. Control X U, undo. Control X U, undo. So to delete a word backward, you use alternate backspace behind, in front of the cursor. Then to remove the words in front of the cursor, you use Control D. Why do I keep saying Control D? Alternate D. So that is that on these two commands. The next thing is, what if you just want to delete a line of text? You use Control K to do that. So let's delete one of our gibberish. So I'm going to move to this gibberish here, line 32, this one, or let me go to the last one, this one. So I want to remove this line, this entire line. Instead of deleting one by one, you can say Control K. Can you see? The whole line is gone. Let me use it to delete this line, Control K. It removes an entire line, Control K. So I'm deleting with Control K now. Control K, it removes an entire line, Control K. And let's remove one more line, Control K. But remember, when you delete, like I told you, delete stores it in memory, so you can still use Control Y to paste anything you've deleted with Control K or Control D or whatever. Now, the next command is for searching. If you want to search in your document, maybe you want to make edits, you use Control S for forward search or Control R for backward search. So let's try that. Let's assume we want to search for this word, sit. Let's do it, sit. So I'll say Control S. Okay, look at the buffer. It's telling me it's ready to search, but I need to put in the word I wanted to search for. So let's search for sit. Can you see? It has highlighted all the incidents of sit. Let me scroll upwards, so let me do it from here. Control S, SIT. Can you see? Everything on sit has been highlighted on my screen. But the one that is highlighted with a different color is where we are currently on. That's where the cursor is. So to go forward after searching, you use Control S again. So let's go to the next sit. Control S. Can you see where the cursor is moving to? look at this next seat. It's going to be highlighted now. Control S, Control S, Control S. So you use Control S to move after you've searched. Control S. And when you get to where you want to make your edit, you can now make your change. So I'm going to change that seat to something else. So let's call it, sorry. Okay, enter. Then let's see something like through. Now you can also search backward. Control R. See, it says search backward on the command, on the buffer. So you put in the word you want to search backward. This works better if you are on the end of the document. So let's say seat again. So now you see it started from the bottom. Now if I start pressing Control R, it starts going backward. Control R, Control R, Control R, Control R, and Control R. So when you get to where you want to make your edit, use enter, your cursor is there, then you can change it to whatever you want, maybe EMACS. So that's that on search and basically editing. To be honest, you may not use a lot of these commands, but it is very important or nice that you actually know that they exist and you also know what they can do. The next thing we need to learn, we are almost at the end of the class, is to split your screen. So in EMACS, you can split your screen. And how do you split your screen? To split horizontally, you use Ctrl X2. So let's do that. Ctrl X2. Now the screen has been split horizontally in two places. You can also do that vertically. Ctrl X3. So you will see a vertical divide now. Ctrl X3. As you can see, there's a vertical divide now. So we have three different screens, but different orientation. So this is the vertical division, and this is the horizontal division, and this is the vertical division. But I don't know why anybody would want to work in a screen like that. So you can remove all your divisions by saying Ctrl X and 0. Can you see the first one is gone? And you can do that again with Ctrl X and 0. So we are back to our normal screen. But a quick shortcut to remove everything at the same time. So let me divide the screen again. Ctrl X and 2 is to say Ctrl X and 1. And all the commands I just used are actually on the screen, and you can practice them as much as you want. The next one is in EMACS. EMACS also have, you can use shell in EMACS, or you can use the command prompt. So for you to bring up your command prompt inside EMACS, all you need to do is you type alternate. Take notes. It says MX here, but you remember I told you anywhere you see M is alternate. M is alternate or escape. Alternate X, okay? So let's do that. Alternate X, then you type the word shell. Look at my buffer. Alternate X, then shell, then I will press enter. Sorry. I'm no longer searching. Okay, so Ctrl G. Remember I told you when you've done some commands and nothing is happening, use Ctrl G to quit out of it. Then let's do that again. Alternate X and shell. So to open the command prompt inside of EMAC, you say alternate X, then you type shell. As you can see, EMACS have opened a command prompt for us. So let's play around with it. You can do your LX. You see, you can do everything. You can do PWD, print working directory, basically everything. But I don't see any reason why you would want to use your command prompt inside of EMACS. So let's exit. To exit, you type the word exit, then enter. So process shell finished. Then you exit out of EMACS entirely. And how do we quit? You use Ctrl X and Ctrl C. So let's go back into learn test dots. Let's open EMACS back again. Now that we are back in here, we are done with the display and the window. The next thing for you to know is help. So the first thing first is to view a tutorial, you use Ctrl H and T. So everything about a help in EMACS starts with Ctrl H and any other command. So to view a tutorial, you use Ctrl T. So if you want to learn more about everything I've spoken about here, and you want to, you know, go deeper, you can use your Control H and T to open the EMACS tutorial. So there you have it. This is the tutorial of EMACS right here on your screen. So you can read as much as you want. You see, we were using CB not too long, and it's showing you Control B for, you know, to move the cursor backward. So this is your basic EMACS tutorial. If you want to learn more, then also you can also get more information by using Control H and I, Control H and I. So it shows you a lot of other information about bash, core utils, date input formats, file permissions. So if you want to read, there is a lot for you to read in EMACS. Also, if you want a list of all the commands, I've used a lot of commands in this class, but then I promise you there are so many other commands. So if you want to see a list of them, you use Control H and B. So let's try that. Control H and B. And as you can see, let me close the screen up there. So these are all the commands in EMACS. So many commands that we've not even used. So let's use let's just move and let's see what commands we could use in EMACS. There are just so much. There's a lot of them. So remember, for navigation, you can use for jumping screen when you have a long text, you use Control V. So I'm using Control V. Now you can see we are in commands that you can identify with. So Control X8, so many commands in EMACS, so you can check it out and see new commands that you can work with. Also, to get the mode that you are in currently, you use Control H and M. So it shows you the mode and different things that you could do. So the cursor blinks, so it's telling you blink cursor, and so many other things. And finally, to get a real help on EMACS, you use Control H, Control H, Control H, and Control H. Let me close the window up there. And this is everything you have to know about EMACS. I know you may be wondering why I was talking about some commands that you may never use. It's just for you to be able to understand that they exist and being able to use them when you want. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is everything on our EMACS class for today. So we try to keep it just below 1 hour, and I'm glad that you all stay true till the end of the class. And like I promised, the video has been recorded, so I'm going to upload it into the group so that you can watch it at your leisure. And also, I'm also going to send you this file so that you can also practice with the commands and learn more. So I thank you for joining in, and I don't know if you have anything to say. You can unmute now, and we can just use the remainder of the 6 minutes we have before we close the class. So once again, the floor is open for every one of us. I thank you for joining in. So let's stay here for 6 more minutes if you want to, or you can exit. So I'm listening to you. Any question?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Mr. Precious.
Yeah, Mr. Gbenga.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The editor that you use, all what you said, we actually understand, and we are going to see how we are going to practice them.
All right.
But the issue is that you make use of a certain editor that actually I'm not aware of it.
Okay.
But if I thought there's a way you can just assist us,
yeah,
quickly from the terminal, and now we can go to EMACS and
okay,
create that file again and go to that editor.
No
please.
problem, no problem.
That's
So
the only aspect that I would like to do.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
I will assume you didn't join us from the beginning, because that is already
No,
at the...
I jumped from the beginning.
Okay, so let me explain again. So there are, don't worry, it's okay, I will explain. So every one of us, I believe some of us have Ubuntu installed already. Now there are different ways for you to install Ubuntu. The first one is using WSL. If you follow me in the groups, you will notice something like this, WXL, right? This one is called Windows Subsystem for Linux. So if you installed your Ubuntu or Linux with this command, all you need to do is just to right click on this Windows button and click on Windows Terminal. All right, and that is also assuming that you've installed EMACS too. So when you do that, just go into your Linux by typing bash from command prompt. Now I'm in Linux. It takes time, but I don't know why, but we'll be there shortly. Now I'm in Linux. For you to open EMACS, all you need to do is just to type EMACS, and it's going to open EMACS for you. Or if you want to open, if you want to create a file immediately, you can call it benga.txt, and it's going to create this file for you immediately. So let me open EMACS with this command prompt for those that installed using WXL. So I'll press enter. So I don't know why this one takes time a lot on my computer, but when it opens, you would see it. Now, the one I've been using is for those that installed EMACS using this application called Cygwin. So I used Cygwin for this particular training we just did, and the EMACS on Cygwin is what you've been seeing. All right, this EMACS you've been seeing that I've been using is from Cygwin. Now there's a third group of people, those who installed EMACS with VirtualBox. So if you installed EMACS with VirtualBox, open Ubuntu after you've opened your VirtualBox. Then, so before I do that, so this EMACS is coming from those that installed with WXL. That's these guys. So if you installed with this is how your EMACS will look like. Okay, you see it's looking different, but the commands are the same. Take note, it's just looking prettier, but the commands are the same. All right, and as you can see, the file I created, benga.txt, can you see it? Benga.txt. I opened this using command prompt. Let me close this now. For those that installed using VirtualBox or Ubuntu, VirtualBox and Ubuntu, you open it using EMACS. So this is the Ubuntu, the VirtualBox Ubuntu terminal now. So if I press enter, I'm opening EMACS. As you can see, it looks like those that installed with WXL. So your EMACS may look like those that installed with this guy, VirtualBox. So the VirtualBox EMACS is looking like that of those that installed with WXL. But the one I use for this training is Cygwin. All right, so if you want to know how to install all this, I'm also going to drop a link to all these videos, so it's not a problem. So like I said, I've been using Cygwin for this class. So let me exit so that you will see it. I can close it and I would open it again. So this is Cygwin installed on my system, Cygwin terminal. And if I say EMACS, there you have it. So Mr. Benga, is it clear for you now?
Yes, yeah, I understand.
Okay, so there are three different, yes, it's the same EMACS but different, they look differently, and you know, different applications and different style. So guys, I'm still with you.
Okay. Thanks for the class. Though on the Linux installation, I can see the EMACS GUI and the terminal.
Yeah.
So the GUI is what opens when we use the terminal to open EMACS with a file.
Well, no,
it
depends on the EMACS that you installed. So if I open it, I can hear you.
Okay, what I'm saying now is that I installed using VirtualBox, so I have EMACS terminal and EMACS GUI. So using the terminal.
Yeah. Okay. I get you. So let me do it for you.
EMACS file. It opens with the GUI. So
yes,
we can open with the terminal through that. I don't know if you get.
No, it's the same thing. See, can you see my screen now? So this is my EMACS terminal.
Yeah.
So you see this one, the terminal is like the one I've been using with Cygwin. So this is Cygwin EMACS terminal, and it's the same thing. There are two different types. Then the other one is GUI. I know what you're saying. So you're trying to understand if you can overwrite when you use EMACS from here, and it opens with the terminal, right?
Yeah.
So basically, I don't think I've researched to that stage, but basically, if you want to do that, I just think it won't take you anything to just open it from here. But after this class, I'm going to answer your question in the group. Is that okay? I'm going to find a way and send you the commands. Is that fine?
Okay.
Yes.
No problem. Thanks.
Yeah, man. Thanks. So it's 1 minute past 9 already, and I don't think we should spend much time. So guys, I'll be online, so any question you have, I would be in the group, any of the groups, to respond to them. So I hope that is fine by us.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, so yeah.
Please, can you help us drop?
Yeah.
Please, can you help us drop the link?
Yes. I'm going to upload the video to YouTube. Then I'm also going to send. Don't worry.
I didn't come on.
It's not a problem. It's not a problem. You will get everything. Okay? I've been recording.
Alright, thank you.
So guys, thank you so much. Thank you everyone. Bye bye. Good night. Sleep well. See you in the groups.
Thank you.